regardless of the outcome. Boost up positive energy without one. Sorry about the jab, I'm on a holy field. I'm bearing fruit, but demons try to eat them like Yoshi meal. I'll piss them off the Batman like Falcone deals. Jungle full of predators, I know how Mowgli feels. So I got the fire, refuse to live in fear. I can spot suppliers, eating fresh drugs. Call me private legal.
Welcome to episode 272 of the Permaculture Pimpcast, where PIMP stands for Permaculture is my passion. The only Pimpcast on planet Earth where we discuss permaculture, preparedness, and practical living. How you doing, honey?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. This episode, as always, brought to you by Hickory Ridge Soap from TwoOldCrowsHomestead.com.
Turn that simp into a pimp.
Bam! Living Soil Foundation. That's the foundation we started. Why? To fix up all this garbage in Western North Carolina. And we're going to talk about our project here in a little bit. But yeah, if you want to break bread, I won't fake dead. So you can go over there and check it out. We don't yet have the website all squared away, but if you want to give, you can check it out over there at
Give, Send, Go.
Bam.
Living Soil Foundation.
There you go. Living Soil Foundation. We took the out of it because it's one of those words in the English language that really doesn't have a meaning. I mean, yeah, it prefaces the title. I get it, but yeah, it's not in there. Anyway, I want to give a shout out to Renewed Homestead. Go check them out on YouTube. Go subscribe. They're our moderators tonight. So, hey, don't start no SH and there won't be no IT. And I'm reminded of that by the Homestead twins who just happened to be in his house. And all these awesome stickers that they broke out there. Hey, got a whole lot of requests out there for these trans-testicle polar bear stickers. Anyway, yeah, so hopefully we don't have any lunatics in the chat like we did last time. So if you would, hit that thumbs up, tell everybody we're live so they can start suppressing us immediately. And I'll come to that once again in a minute. All right. So I'm just going to jump right into it. Well, farm news right off the bat. Got around to making some bone sauce. I know a lot of people have been blowing me up about that. Haven't been able to make any since
the hurricane.
Yeah, since the hurricane, really. Or the manufactured weather crisis is what I'm going to call it. Haven't made any since that time. So I know a lot of people were wanting it. And this is normally the time of year where most people are wanting it. So I got a batch on right now, but it's one of those things, y'all. It's so incredibly difficult to make that I'm hoping this batch turns out. I won't know till tomorrow morning. It takes a while. It takes about 12 to 24 hours to make this stuff. To do it properly, it takes a lot of time. And I'll be honest with you, I had an opportunity a couple of times over the last several days. And then to be completely transparent and honest, I'm thinking, man, dude, did you lose the touch? Because William is my son, okay? And I've taught him how to make this stuff, and he can get it right maybe 20% of the time. Well, it's been months, and I'm thinking, okay, dude, hopefully, because there's so much feel on this stuff, there's no way I can't say it. It's not like a compost pile where I could say, okay, at this time, do this, or at this time, do that. I don't have the ability to do that when it comes to bone sauce. There's so much that goes by feel. And if you don't get it right, you just wasted hundreds of dollars worth of money. So yeah, let's pray this works out. But anyway, we got some in there. Hopefully have some up by the end of the week. I know a lot of people are hitting me up about that. Oh, all right. Some other farm news. Got the sheep obviously on grass still. And that's important, y'all. I kind of did a little bit of I don't know, was it a short? Might have been a short. I don't think I did a full-fledged video on it. Really haven't had time for any videos. And like I said, I'll come to that in a minute. So, and by the way, I want to give everybody, look, I know there's a whole lot of things you can be doing with your time. And I want to thank you for being with us tonight. So hopefully we drop some more stuff that's going to be very helpful to you. A lot of very awesome messages reached out as of late. You know, people really, really thankful for the shows that we've done. And a lot of people saying, you know, very thankful about the one we did on real estate. I'll cover more of that, y'all. I could only give you like a spitball version of it, but maybe I can go into more detail in later episodes if people are interested in that. Because as I said before, I guarantee there's going to be tons of land that come up on the market. Most people, and I've heard other podcasters say the same thing, more in the political space than in the farm space. But they're saying, in fact, Pastor Chuck Baldwin even said, you know, I think it was him, a number of others that said, man, they've already seen all the Republicans go right back into the matrix. And that's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to go into the matrix and then into the suburbs, and then you'll be able to sweep in, buy their land with a butterfly net. So you can use some of the methods I talked about, and you can get this thing on the cheap. A lot of cool ways to go about that. Okay, so back to these sheep. We got them on grass still, and that's kind of important because it obviously you're a grass farmer to a certain extent when you do this life, but to a higher extent, you're a microbe farmer. So if the grass doesn't look good, I can guarantee you everything below doesn't look wonderful in terms of what it might look under a microscope. Well, here we are, and we're using hay strategically. I'm not going to say that we don't use hay. That wouldn't be accurate. We just use it strategically. So in the area where they are right now, we move the paddock. They're on basically a 3-day rotation right now in the current through the winter. That's what they'll be on. So they're going to spend that first day eating up the grass that's in there. They're going to eat it down to a certain point. Okay. And then strategically, I will put hay. Once I see where the problems are, I will take bales of hay, because you're not going to roll out a round bale up here. I'll take bales of hay and I'll put it in the trouble spots where, for example, where was it I had you throw it the other day? Was it over there?
It was a spot where we had a bunch of blackberry that had come through, and they ate it down, and it was a little bare, so we threw a bunch of hay on it.
Yeah, so remember, you don't have a blackberry problem. You have a lack of sheep problem. So they will wipe it out for you. So they can wipe it out, and then I know the blackberry's there because that's a part of the pasture that obviously needs attention. It's only there because something's missing or you got too much of something else. So you can get over that by taking your hay, putting it on top of those trouble spots, and then the sheep are going to eat what they want. They're going to trample in a fair amount, or it could be cows. It could be anything, any ruminant out there. They're going to trample that in, and then you're going to see magic happen when the season rolls around. But anyway, here we are almost at the first of the year, and we're still feeding grass when most people are not. So I guess when you add it all up, as far as my management in terms of, I basically call most of the shots when it comes to the management of the sheep.
Oh, really?
Yes. Oh, really? Because we're not going to do it out of emotion. We're going to do these things out of pragmatism.
Okay.
And so as far as my stockpiling on my grazing, I can already tell you I'm going to be a month and a half short, which is a massive improvement because I was 2 months short last year. So this year I'm a month and a half short to get through the whole season, which means I'll have, out of 12 months, I'm basically going to spend a month and a half feeding hay, which is pretty darn impressive. Michelle, you keep like sniffing in there when you're clearing your nose. You just got to hit the silence button. Anyway, so you're going to spend a month and a half feeding hay, which does not happen. I mean, most people are not, out of 12 months. I think it was Jim Garrish who put out the numbers that somewhere around 12 months, it was amazing that the number of people that were in, let's say, Missouri were feeding as much hay as those in Montana or those in, it didn't matter whether it was Mississippi or, pick any northern state. I mean, it could be anywhere. Pick any of those places, and they were feeding the same amounts of hay, which was dreadful. And look, if you want to make money in this business, you can't be feeding hay all year long. So, and if you do, it has to be very strategic. What's so funny?
Somebody said, Homestead Twin said, rewind that, and the look on Michelle's face.
Yeah. She knows it's true. She knows it's true. That's why I am in charge of the animals, because she will get emotional, get out there like I was going to, I don't, here's exactly what happened. Mike, the fit farmer, was supposed to come by early in December.
Oh, make sure you tell this story right.
I'm going to tell it right.
Yeah.
Yes, he was supposed to come by and we were going to fill his freezer with some of these sheep, and he was going to drop off some of these chickens that he processed. And she's over there like halfway pulling out the tears.
Not. I didn't do anything.
Oh my goodness.
Billy, I cannot believe you. I did not do anything.
You're going to lie right here in front of everybody.
You are lying in front of everybody.
Unbelievable. Anyway. She's like they're not big enough, trying to make any excuses.
No, they're not. I don't think they were big enough.
What's love got to do with it? I mean,
I'm talking about size.
I don't care.
I'm not talking about age.
Yeah, I love you dearly, but if you ain't cutting the mustard, you got to go in the freezer.
You didn't give them enough time.
Look, I don't care. They're eating up food that is reserved for the other ones. So honestly, I would probably be down to about 3 weeks of feeding if
If what?
Well, Mike couldn't make it anyway, but if Mike would have made it out,
I know you're not going to blame that on
no,
me.
if Mike could have made it out, and we just couldn't make the time work for both of us. But anyway, if he could have made it out, I'd have been down to maybe 2 to 3 weeks of hay for the year. But a month and a half is honestly not that bad. So, folks, it goes right back to management. It really does. I mean, if you're having to feed hay in August, then you got too many animals. Okay, I'm just going to put it out to you like that. And that's the number one problem with most homesteaders is they got way too many animals. You got to scale it back. It's okay. You can recover. It's not the end of the world, but you can't fall in love with them either. So if these guys
too late,
look, no, it ain't too late. That's why I manage the animals, because honestly, I can pet you every single day. And when it comes down to it, I can put you in the freezer when the time's right. So that's where but there are things she does that I'm not particularly fond of. There's really no job on the farm that I don't like or I don't mind doing. There's not one thing. I mean, I love everything about this life. This is why we don't take vacation, why we don't feel like we need to. Because are you doing what you love?
Yep.
Yeah. Except for the part where we put them animals into the freezer.
Well, no, of course not. That's not my favorite day.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not. And that's why we have different tasks. So when it gets down to brass tacks, y'all, where you do the jobs where you're favorable, where you might be favorable, and just kind of back off on the ones and let somebody else do them if you're just not up to it. So if you love that animal, can't stay here. I mean, at the end of the day, if you have lousy performance or you're okay, for example, a prime example, right now we got a ram in right now, and he's the perfect size that I want, and he's a Greg Judy ram. We borrowed him. Basically, I made a deal with the owner, and Dan is his name. I borrow his ram, and then I'm going to basically do a consultation for him. He lives in another part of North Carolina. Now, it's a Greg Judy ram, has excellent genetics. He looks fantastic. Now, I got bigger sheep right now. And you ought to see this little guy trying to handle business, which is interesting on the side of a mountain. But anyway, he decided to get loose because, the motto here, get loose or get lost. So anyway, he started getting busy lately. And, I mean, he's doing more on 6 foot of pasture than a monkey on 60 foot of vine. You can't keep him still. So anyway, he's getting his groove on 24/7 and he's doing his thing. And, the idea is taking his genetics, combining with these other guys. They have good body composition. It's just they're too doggone big for these mountains. So when they're nursing, they lose composition like you would not believe. So we need a smaller sheep, and that, believe it or not, that was her idea. But looks like we're gonna have it. And then guess what? The mamas, I don't care how good they are. I can already tell you that they're not going to do fantastic with the new young they raise, but the new young they raise are going to be fantastically adapted to this environment. So guess where moms all go? Yep, you guessed it, right into the freezer. Or maybe we'll put on another big festival and we'll cut up another one of these guys and we'll cook it and feed it to everybody. Let Shane handle it this time. So I'm not sorry to spend so much time on that. That's exactly why we're here. That's why we're congregated, to learn about this stuff. All right. So anyway, yeah, the sheep are off and running. And if it weren't for her and Mike, I'm blaming both of them. I would be down 2 to 3 weeks of hay feeding.
How is that? How did I get roped into that being my fault?
You were like, they're too little. We can't. I'm like, I'm not going to have him come all the way out here.
But he didn't show up. So how is that my fault? It's my fault because Mike didn't show up.
Okay, they were going in the freezer no matter what. So
you still didn't answer the question.
The point
of
being
how is it my fault?
If we trusted your judgment on this,
if it was up to you, I'd be down to 2 weeks of hay. No, I want you to explain how it's my fault that you're not down to 2 weeks of hay.
Mike's coming out on the 3rd. I ain't gonna say, hey, come back in 3 weeks when these guys are ready. No, I mean, that's the bottom line. The fact is, she's all lovey-dovey with them, and you don't want me putting them in the freezer. Look, like I said, the only way, I mean, the way I justify it most, really, when we get down to it, you keep kicking that thing.
It's all right.
The way we justify it, or at least the way I do in my head, is that animal, and to quote the great Mark Shepard, is it has one bad day. And the cool thing about it is they don't even know it's coming. They really don't. So those animals live in a lap of luxury, respected every single day of their lives, and even in their death. Remember, to quote the great Jeff Lawton, if it lived, it can live again. And so everything we don't eat will go to the dogs. Everything the dogs don't eat will go into the compost pile. And everything that doesn't eat actually goes into the bone sauce. Part of it goes into the bone sauce that I sell. So there's not a single part of that animal that is disrespected or wasted. So that is how I'm able to justify it. And let's be honest. Look, y'all, I'm something of a food snob, and it's all her fault. Yeah, you're going to have to get blamed for that yet again. She cooks great food, fantastic food. And name one time you didn't.
Oh, there's been times recently.
Yeah, well, no, when you try to go vegetarian on a brother, that ain't going to be a good day. But when you try to slip in some vegetable protein,
when we have vegetable protein for dinner.
Like, what is this stuff? Try to act like it was ground beef. I'm like, look, I know what ground beef
that was like. That was like 20 years ago.
Yeah, but so that's my point. But yeah, you don't make awful stuff, but honestly, you need great ingredients. And to be able to afford to eat this meat that we have, I got to be able to grow it. And that's why a lot of you are out there doing the very same thing. So it's not just growing it, it's also the back end of it. This is why I learned to butcher years and years ago, was because it would drive me crazy, the whole notion of knowing that I'm going to take my animal. That's one thing if it's like a cow or something like that, where you just can't manage it, or you don't have a way to hang it or something like that. But your other animals, man, if you can possibly do it on a homestead, you want to do it there, because number one, that animal's never going to see it coming. When you put them in a trailer, you drop them off at a processing facility, they can smell death from miles away. And when they get there, they know what time it is. So it's never going to be the same quality as what I produce right here at the house. And in order to afford this stuff, look, we ain't the Rockefellers, and neither are y'all. So that's why I'm saying, from nose to tail, from start to finish, we got to know how to do it all right here. And this is why I teach these skills. And they're becoming a dying art in a big, big way. All right. So other news. Went out there to our site, and hopefully that video will come out tomorrow. We went out there to the Rollins community near Marshall, and it's right alongside the river. And this is the area where we went out there, tested. And by the way, there's a whole gang of people wanting to tar and feather me right now. And why? Why don't you tell them why?
Because they don't like our lab results differ from the ones that a local nonprofit put out, and ours are worse. Ours are actual, like, true lab results. And so they're coming after us because they don't trust us, but somehow they trust the establishment.
Yeah, and their lab test, I think, cost like $100. Ours cost $8,000. So, and we went to a certified lab. Yeah, so basically the way it's going down is we dropped that video, and frankly, I don't care. You don't like the results? Hey, that's on you. Being pissed off is ready to being pissed on. I mean, you take your pick. I don't know. Some of you freaks out there might like the latter. But anyway, the point being,
where did that come from?
Hey, it just made sense. It just popped into my head. And sometimes when you speak extemporaneously, it happens. So ain't no mute button here, y'all, and we don't edit. So deal with it. Anyway, they want their ears tickled. So the establishment, and by the way, there's a girl that went out there. We told people on this podcast, if you want our lab results, you better go out there and get the ones of these others that said it was great. These dummies, okay, I'm going to kind of spill the beans a little bit, okay? And you just kind of fill it in. So we told them, look, go out there and get the lab results of all these people that told you it was clear. Well, one girl did it, and you ain't even going to believe it, folks. These fools sent lab results that were worse than ours at about the same time. We got them by the kishkas, y'all, and we just haven't told everybody about it yet. Anyway, this girl got the lab results. She sent them to us, and their results were worse than ours.
Well, first of all, the first document that she was sent was a Google document. So it's like an Excel spreadsheet where they just plugged in a bunch of numbers and then they sent it out to everybody. And we were like, what, did they just randomly pick numbers from whatever and plug them into a Google document and then send it out. So we said, hey, can we get the actual lab document like from the lab? So then they sent it out, but then what they sent out was their second test. So they didn't even send out that their initial test, which should have been done
Well, they sent it out.
probably, well, no, not to us, they haven't.
The one they sent, it was dated at about the time that article came out saying that it was all clear, even though their numbers proved that it was worse than ours. But that's the one she was talking about, was a Google Doc.
It was
like
it was November. That was they had a, I don't know when their initial tests were done, if it was a couple weeks after I'm assuming it was probably a couple weeks after the hurricane. But this test was
much later,
at the end of October, the beginning of November. They didn't share their initial test results.
They gave a redacted copy, basically a sleazy redacted copy. So like I said, we got about a Kishkas, y'all. And we haven't even told everybody about it, but I don't even know what good it will do at this point, because people want to kill the messenger instead of going after. But anyway, hey, don't care. You know the motto, don't start no SH, there won't be no IT. So nobody's actually said it to my face, but I hear in some of these forums, people are talking some dumb stuff. But like I said, you know, typically these are the kinds of people that will never have the balls to say it to your face. So if you got something to say, hey, I'll back up everything I said. I mean, I got the goods. We got the goods. That's why I brought on 3 different test results. But here's the more important part. Regardless of where those tests are, we are out there doing the remediation. We've already started it. The one thing that's working against us right now is the weather. When you do this sort of thing in the wintertime, well, your microbes are not as active. Those are our workhorses, okay, in the soil. So we're using a combination of a number of things out there right now, and we'll have Dr. Will come back, costs money. We'll have him come back, do additional tests, and find out when we hit that finish line. But like I said, the one thing that's really, really slowing us down is almost certainly the fact that we're doing it when the weather isn't exactly warm. Because like I said, the microbes that get down there, they can do some work, but they're not going full steam ahead like they ordinarily would. Ideal temperature is going to be soil temperature, about 60 degrees, somewhere thereabouts, but we're not there. But anyway, it's not going to stop me from continuing to put this stuff out. Anyway, we've used your donations to go out there and buy a IBC tote. Going to have to get a new pump. Need new sprinklers, and we're going to have to kick things up a little bit, because it's we were out there on Christmas Day spraying. Yeah, we were out there Christmas Day spraying, which turned out to be a pretty good time, because nobody there's people that know me or know of me, or I don't know what the case may be. And yeah, they want to talk, which is all well and good, but man, I'm trying to work. I mean, I got work to get done, because every single time we go out there, there's 4 to 5 hours of my day. And folks, look, we are moving from dawn till dusk every single day. So every little bit of my day is accounted for. And I'll show you here in a minute what I'm talking about and how it might be a benefit to you. So it's kind of helpful that we go out there when people are less likely to try to talk to us, because I've got to get this done and I got to move on to the next thing. So that's what it is. But once again, I want to thank y'all. Hopefully I have that video put out tomorrow of what that next phase looks like. So we're putting it down right now. When spring, we need to get these trees in the ground. That's the next thing. We're going to use the donations to get the trees for the phytoremediation. And then the entire guild, just like we've taught you before, folks, the same exact thing we've taught you here is exactly what we're going to apply there. And I'm going to walk you through it, because it'll be a really, really cool thing to show you from start to finish how we took ground that was ate up from the feet up and turned it into something that's going to be an oasis. And Lord willing, that's exactly what we're going to do. And we got multiple places too, some of which I'm not going to show on camera, because all I need is some lunatic to go out there and try, think they're sticking it to us. So we do have clandestine locations for other test sites as well, finding out which remediation strategy works the best, because frankly, we're working in a place here where a lot of people have not treaded ground before. And there's a lot of people claiming to be remediation specialists that have never physically been on a site before. They got a lot of book knowledge, but they don't have they don't have
hands-on experience.
Hands-on experience, yeah. So that's in my world where I come from, that makes all the difference in the world. So that's exactly where we're working at it. And we shortly before long, believe me, you got two people right here that when we put our minds to something, this, I'll be honest with you, is no way, no shape, no form where I thought my life would go, but I feel like this is where I'm needed, even though it's not the direction I want to go. Maybe the Lord's calling me in this direction because we are uniquely prepared to deal with what we're dealing with, even though I didn't want to admit it in the beginning. Frankly, I didn't want the responsibility, and frankly, I didn't want. There's a whole lot of things I'll uncover as we go along, but we got everything from people trying to bribe me to stop me from doing this using their protocol. I kid you not. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, you folks thought you were slick. They wanted a little, what do you call that? Like a Zoom call. Yeah, I got pictures of y'all. And if you think you just got in and out without people knowing who you are, guess what? I know people that know people, all right? So they're finding out who you folks are right now that wanted to come in and bribe me. And I'm not for sale, no matter how much money you got. Yeah, so what? Find somebody else to take your 30 pieces of silver. It ain't going to be me. So anyway, I'll cover more of that in the future as I have more information. So anyway, what else we got going on around here? We got contractors not calling up. We got a roofing contractor. You call up folks. I mean, I know everybody out there is dealing with the same thing where you're trying to give people money. Like, hey, got this roof. It's got holes in it. It leaks every time it rains. How would you like to make money? You are a roofer, so they don't show up and then don't call. Then when you call them, oh, my bad. The secretary didn't call? Oh, shoot. Yeah, we'll come out on the 6th. That sort of thing going on. And then got another contractor. I mean, should have just got up there and did it myself. I mean, I used to roof. That's what I did in my summer job all through high school was roofing houses. It's just, man, I feel like I'm getting too old for that stuff. No, I can't believe I just said that out loud. Yeah, we'll just, I'll just leave it right there. How about that? Not good at that part. Anyway, I can't believe I'm getting too old for something. All right. So as far as that site out there, folks, I want to leave you with this part, at least on that. Whenever you have a new piece of property or even your own property, let's say if you lived there a while, let me tell you the process I go through. You want to, first of all, ask the Lord for guidance. Okay. And then sit there and in your mind's eye, just pick the most perfect utopia for that space that you want it to be. Do you have chickens there? Maybe you got sheep running around. Maybe an orchard is your thing. Maybe it's all of the above. Maybe it's all those things when you design an area. And that's exactly what I do. So I'm asking the owners, okay, what is it you foresee here? And I mean, give me the best example of a utopia you could possibly imagine. And then as I'm going through it, he's telling me, well, I don't think this will work there. I'm like, no. Tell me your dream. Tell me what you want this to be. That's where I'll work from.
So do they want animals
they would love to, but they do traveling from time to time. Okay. So the animals aren't going to work. And if you can put animals in the system, folks, it's going to make it go 10 times faster. You can do it with just plants alone, but if you put animals in that system, we've shown you how to do it. It's going to sing 10 times faster if you can do that, because that's how the good Lord made it. I mean, that's how nature is, okay? So visualize that site, go through with flags, put it on paper, do all those things before you ever put foot to butt on any of this stuff. So just use that, because I do that every single day as I'm going over there and I'm asking the Lord to bless it. That's my secret weapon, y'all. And it's the one I think that we utilize least. Ask the Lord to bless whatever it is. Speak it out there. Ask him audibly. Like in Romans 10, 9 and 10. If thou shalt confess with thine mouth the Lord Jesus, and shalt believe in thine heart that God hath raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. So, and then if you look at the book of James, there's a whole lot in there about what we speak and what we shouldn't speak. I'm not always the best at that, but I'm working on it. Yeah, so no letters this time about you called somebody a penis wrinkle or something else. Hey, y'all, I'm a work in progress, okay? I said, imagine the utopia. Don't be the utopia. But, yeah, so imagine these things all the way through, but honestly, just say, just give yourself the pep talk you need to get through it. All right. And then finally, I just want to point out one little side thing. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to point out one more side thing right now. I'm just going to say this. I was over there just kind of, I guess I am going to do it after all. I was watching Deep South Homestead, or at least trying to. I was like, why haven't I gotten any notifications forever in a day? I mean, Danny and Wanda are friends. Why haven't I been? What happened? I mean, are they not putting out videos? What about Mike the Fit Farmer? I mean, I'm friends with them too. How come I'm not getting these notifications? Look, y'all, they're playing games, okay? Unless you're into the trad wife thing, or unless you're into certain whatever. I mean, unless you're playing the fear game, you're not going to be in the algorithms. I'm sitting there looking at Pecan Grove, which is an offshoot of Deep South Homestead, and I'm looking at this video Mike did with Jax from Shalom Temple, and I'm like, you mean tell me nobody wanted to watch any of this stuff? Danny's showing you start to finish how to process a deer, and nobody's watching this? How is it you get more subscribers but lower views? That doesn't even make sense, y'all. They're playing games with the numbers here. Look, I don't make my living here, so I'm not really caring about it one way or the other. And I'm not worried about getting 10,000 more subscribers on there. I just want the right ones. And you guys and gals are the right ones. People jump off. I don't lose any sleep over it. I realize that's going to happen, but they're also focusing your focus. The people that are doing the most useful things on YouTube are going to be the ones that they suppress the most. So, and I know I'm probably speaking to the choir here, but folks, that's exactly what's happening here. The people out there that are most consequential, that are doing things that you or sharing knowledge that you really need to know about, those are the ones being deeply suppressed right now. I mean, are we in that category? Sure, unless I do something that's going to create drama, which I don't intentionally do. I just, it just happens sometimes. But I mean, it's not my intention to go out here, I'm going to do this to try to get views. But you can see how the algorithm works. If it bleeds, it leads. But folks, just want you to know that for all the other folks out there, if you got other YouTube channels that you watch, just keep in mind that they are absolutely funneling you into the people that are not going to teach you anything. And Deep South Homestead is one of the biggest helps out there for anybody that's getting into this space. So you're not going to convince me that they're up to 300,000 subscribers, but there's only 5,000 people watching the videos. Come on. I mean, it just makes no sense. So anyway, with that said, and the same thing with Mike the Fit Farmer. I mean, like I said, he had Jax on there, and I'm like, and what did you say? That's the knowledge they don't want to share.
Well, yeah, Jax is who I'm working with right now. Her website, I think, is Nomadic Wonders, but she has got. I cannot recommend working with her enough. She has got a ton of information. She's the people. She is the type of person that they don't want. They don't want her information out there.
Yeah, her and a whole bunch of other people. And ours is some of that information you'll never hear either. So just keep that in mind, folks, that, everybody thinks, we crossed the finish line. Trump got elected. I mean, look, I'm a political atheist. These people all work for the same polecats in my view. So I'm not believing we've hit any finish line. I mean, I think we're still heading to the same place. And if you look at some of the people I watch, you'd probably agree with me. All right. So Wave Watch sponsor this segment of the program, and that Wave Watch is the shiz.
Are you wearing it?
No.
How come you're not wearing it?
Because you threw me off. You threw me off. You threw off my routine.
You have a very bad attitude tonight.
My attitude is great.
No, it's not.
You took the watch and then it messed me up. Yeah, you took the watch.
I took the watch a week ago.
Anyway, Wave Watch. Look, if you're in pain, we've given all kinds of, if you're in pain, nausea, you name it, look, it's got the frequency on there for you to deal with it. So go check out wavewatch.com, WAV. We got a link down below. Billy 100 will get you $100 off of it. So Wave Watch is definitely off the hook. And I usually wear that thing all day long, but this is 2 programs in a row I'm not wearing it thanks to you-know-who over here. All right, coming up March 18th through the 22nd, Shalom Temple is going to have that 5-day immersion event. That's going to be at the Tyron Equestrian Center, and that's going to be here in North Carolina. Guess who's coming? Barbara O'Neill. Yeah, got to talk to her a couple of weeks ago, and seems like a really sweet lady. Seems like one of those people who's actually the same in person as the one you see online, and there's not a whole lot of people out there like that. So really looking forward to seeing her. Also, Jonathan Otto is going to be there. I'm going to be doing a workshop. Mike the Fit Farmer is going to be doing a workshop. There's a number of other people in the platform that you might want to check out. Anyway, it's a 5-day immersion event. I think they got day passes and stuff. So anyway, we got a link for that down below. And then not long after that, May 2nd through the 4th, y'all, the best. I was just on this program the other day, and that's Tea at Mountain Readiness. I'm telling you folks, if you just go to your mainstream, if you are in the permaculture preparedness, which also means self-defense and things of that nature, and practical living, if you're anywhere in that spectrum, you do not want to miss Mountain Readiness. So go to mountainreadiness.com, folks. I'm telling you, they got an array of classes that you will not find at any other conference. And I keep saying it is the best conference you don't know about. And you definitely want to know about it, because I'm telling you, I can't even tell you how many former Green Berets, Delta Force guys, SEALs, whatever. And it's not like there's a bunch of egos just floating around there. These are people that are teaching the classes there, okay? And you got your lowly sapper right here. You got a bunch of people that are teaching a lot of awesome things out there, and you're never going to find it at your mainstream Homestead conference. You're never going to find these classes at Homesteaders of America. I promise you that. And this is some of the most important knowledge that you're going to want to know out there. And I mean, I'm learning tracking out there from former Green Berets in Vietnam. I mean, these guys quite literally wrote the book on how to do this. And you would be shocked at what you learn from a 2-hour class. Folks, I can't recommend it enough. So mountainreadiness.com, go get your tickets. I'm going to be there. Not 100% sure what I'm going to be teaching. It's probably going to be processing the sheep or something like that. Last time I did a tactical food forest class, I broke the dust off of that one. So definitely go check it out. And Redemption Shield, 10% off with promo code PERMA. Look, y'all, we practice what we preach around here, and that's one of the things right there. So, okay, normally I got the good news section. I'm going to drop that off today because we spent so much time in the beginning of it. And I think that was important knowledge to cover. I'm just going to jump right into my man, Eric Sider. Then we're going to get into the main meat of the show.
Hey, Eric Sider here with your Pimpcast tip of the day. Today's tip, just show up. An important lesson I've recently learned or relearned is that building a community group doesn't have to be complicated. Dealing with people will always be challenging, but creating space for like-minded individuals to gather and share doesn't have to be. It seems the most simple solutions can still be the most misunderstood. It's more important than ever to gather together in person. Relying solely on online interaction is flawed at best and generally a recipe for miscommunication and misinformation. You don't need to be an expert on social media either. All you have to do is show up. If you want to meet people and let them know about your group, just show up to their events. Community groups are always looking for speakers. Offer to present on the subject your group is about or a related topic you are experienced in. It's so simple, but most people don't show up. We are so flaky these days. People say they will come, but don't. Yes, we are all busy and things always come up, but we always make time for what we care about. If you are always initiating contact with someone, it's not because they are too busy. It's because they really don't care. I've had to make this realization myself, and it's freed up my brain to focus on making the least change for the greatest possible effect. You can find me on YouTube and Instagram at Eric Sider, and if you're in need of permaculture t-shirts or remote permaculture consultation and design, head over to ericsider.com. And for those in the Sacramento area, come check out my permaculture community group at permaculturefairoaks.org.
Well, that's twice now I did that. Time. Yeah. Okay. That's my dog. So I got it right this time. Anyway, Boy, he's really hitting on something that just drives me nuts. It is one of my pet peeves, and I got a long list of them. Bad drivers, can't stand bad drivers because it's not bad enough that you don't care about your life. You got to take the lives of everybody else and put them at risk whenever you drive poorly. I got a number of pet peeves, but right there, it ain't at the top, but it's somewhere on that list, are the people that will RSVP for something and then don't show up and don't tell you that they're not going to show up. That is one of those things that where when you pull it on me, look,
Yeah,
there's no excuse for not telling somebody, hey, I'm not going to make it, especially when you took the time to RSVP.
I think his point, though, is it's a very good point. And I think that that's ever since, I mean, this is something we've known we've needed to do for a while. We just haven't done it. But since the storm, we have made that was one of our flaws is not having community. So that's something we're working on this year is like they're not online, but like actual local relationships.
Well, Ben and Denise had at Renewed Homestead set up this thing where they opened up their church. We did one event and I thought it was a great success. And then we just haven't had, I mean, we're all going at 1,000 miles an hour, but we didn't schedule an event and not show up. I mean,
No, yeah.
that is one of my biggest pet peeves is that and it also tells me a lot about how you feel concerning everybody else there. There was this one kid named Micah all the way back in Kansas City would RSVP for an event. Well, we were providing food for these events. And then it was like all the older people, I'd say over the age, when I say older, I'm saying like 40 and above, they would have the courtesy. It was like the younger folks they wouldn't show up and they wouldn't tell you they weren't showing up. And so here it is. We had a bunch of wasted food or, go home or go to the chickens or something. I mean, it's just one of my big pet peeves. And I know that's a personal thing, but yeah, Eric's right there. I mean, it's amazing what people will find time for. You don't have time for this. You don't have time for that. But he's absolutely correct. I mean, we'll have to link up with Ben and Denise again. In fact, I need to get Denise into the studio, and we got a couple of topics where she's uniquely qualified to talk about. But in addition to that, maybe plan this next one to get another one kicking because really we do need mutual assistance groups. And frankly, a lot of people in the room now. I wasn't expecting Shane to break out Bloody Marys at a church, but it seemed to work out. I didn't see anybody. I mean, there was only one person that got topped off, but outside of that, I mean, she wasn't causing any problems. I mean, she, everything was cool, but
he did warn you.
Yeah, I mean, it's Shane. I mean, you deal with these chefs, man. They're crazy, but they're cool. But anyway, EMP Shield $50 off with promo code PERMA. Remember, things jump off. You're not going to the club. You're going to your house. That's if you got any sense at all. So, yeah, make absolutely sure. EMP Shield, remember, lightning is your biggest threat to your home. And EMP Shield, if anything gets past that EMP Shield, Kentucky Fries anything downstream, they cover you for 25 G's. You're not going to find another transient voltage surge suppressor on the market that can handle, that'll give you anywhere close to that deal. All right, with that said, and promo code PERMA will get you $50 off. All right, so our topic tonight is New Year's health strategies. I'm going to tell you what we're doing, and the one thing I'm going to change in this new year. Now, I don't wait for the new year. I basically start the day after Christmas. Why? Because everybody else does it after New Year. So there's some of these strategies we're already doing. And we'll go back and forth. There's some I'm doing and obviously some she's doing. But right off the bat, y'all, I'm going to start from when I get up in the morning. And plus, this was really inspired, just like the last program. Somebody said, hey, look, it's cool that you got a lot of people on and everything, but can you talk about this thing with the property, man? I really need to buy property. Well, somebody was hitting me up about this as well, saying, look, man, from your early videos on YouTube till now, you don't look like the same person. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'll talk about it. And I'll give you the health strategies before then, or at least I'll tell you what's working for me and what's maybe not working. So we'll just start from the very beginning. As soon as I get up in the morning, as soon as I'm conscious, before I even get out of the bed, Psalm 5 is where I go. My voice shalt thou hear in the morning, O Lord. In the morning I will direct my prayer unto thee and will look up. And I physically look up. Remember I talked about speaking this stuff? Well, it's also one of my goals is to memorize the entire book of Psalm. People think I'm crazy, but hey, I'm trucking right along. That's part of the strategy here, but that's the first thing I do as soon as I get up in the morning. Now, I'm not going to get too descriptive or anything here, but one thing that I learned, I don't know if it was from Ed Milet or someone else, but honestly, have some form of gratitude as soon as you wake up in the morning. I know she is very responsive to touch. So I'll just rub her back for a little bit and just say, I love you. What's so wrong about that? Yeah. You could chime in anytime here, honey.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
I'm waiting for you
That
to
was an
go.
open space. So what do you do when you wake up? Yeah, I don't know. It feels weird telling everybody
You're telling what you do in the morning. I'm waiting for you to go through your routine. I didn't know that you wanted me to switch over.
Okay, well, what do you do when you wake up? Wait on me to go get that cat of yours out of the garage, right?
I wait for you to go get the cat. I wait for you to build the fire so it's nice and warm before I get out of bed. No, Billy,
No, she's telling the truth. That's exactly how it goes down.
You gotta finish yours and then I'll get into mine.
Yeah, so okay, well, I'm not gonna go through everything, but yeah, that's essentially it. I get up, I'm usually up before her, and so I go out there, know it at a certain point, she ain't getting out of that bed until her cat gets in there. I can't even believe this. This cat gets in there and starts getting all hugged up with her.
This isn't
So anyway, yeah, she's got to go ahead and have that cat. I left the fireplace has basically been going all night. Okay. And from there, I'm basically get the fire stoked and everything. We get that thing kicking, go get the cat, go back in, and then physical contact. Now, what are you doing? Waiting on me. Yeah. Michelle, this dead air ain't cool for radio. Okay?
I don't. Okay. What do you want me to get into my biohacking?
Yeah,
like, what do I
think
do
we're
in the
here
morning?
doing?
Okay. In the morning, after I get up, about 30 minutes after I wake up and have my coffee, I go lay on the PEMF mat and I do some deep breathing.
That's pulse electric magnetic field mat. It's basically a mat that gives you a bunch of grounding in a very short period of time.
So while I'm laying on the mat, I do I do deep breathing, and then I do a prayer before I get up off of the mat.
Okay, so that's one of the things before we even do our chores, y'all. It's non-negotiable for us. Deep breathing, absolute deep breathing. For me, it's Wim Hof. So 3 rounds of 30 may be what is a good thing for you. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it's another method altogether. I would highly suggest a YouTube channel called Breathe with Sandy. And Michelle actually turned me on to this guy. Now, the thing about it, when you pick a breathing routine, what I've noticed, at least in me, it may work great the first 3 times. And if you do it too many times, you'll find out your body doesn't react the same way. It adjusts to the stress that you're putting on it. And it is hermetic stress. So you got to switch them up from time to time. You got to do a different breathing routine. But before we even do our chores, grounding, while she's up on the PEMF mat, I am doing my grounding on a regular grounding mat from Redemption Shield. And at the same time, I'm stacking functions. That's what we do in permaculture. I'm grounding, I'm breathing, and at the same exact time, I'm listening to the audio Bible as I'm doing it. So I'm doing 3 things all at once. That's before we even get to the chores. So we get to the chores, we get those done. After all of that's done, we don't do another thing. But before I even do any of that, I take a half teaspoon of salt, and I'm talking like Celtic sea salt, put it in some water, mix it up, and you can put some lemon juice in there. If you put lemon juice in there, it'll cut the saltiness of it, and then drink that down right off. Another trick I got from Gary Brecka. Because I guarantee you're waking up dehydrated, and that's one of the fastest ways to hydrate your body. So I take that salt water, drink it down, and off and running. Now, she said she'll drink coffee right off the bat in the morning. because of cortisol reasons, I don't drink coffee until after I'm done. I talked about it before where I initially talked about it in this podcast where I would wait at least 45 minutes before I had coffee. Well, I find out I do even better with it if I just wait until after the chores, which could very well be a couple of hours. So I've gotten, and that was of all the biohacks to do out there, that was one of the big ones there that helped. I mean, you'll find out if you can put off your coffee for 45 minutes to about an hour and a half, you'll find out that you won't have that midday crash.
Well, this is what I found out. I tried the coffee for a little bit. I don't remember how long it was, but that's not what made me crash in the afternoon. What made me crash was what I've learned from Jax, which is your sequence of eating. And this has helped avoid, like, I was at the point where I didn't even really want to eat, or I didn't want to eat any carbs because I dreaded that carb crash that would come. And I can't be tired. So what she has me doing is eat your vegetables first, and then you eat your protein or fat. Like if you're eating protein and fat, like you can eat them both at the same time. And then if you're going to have complex carbs, like your beans or sweet potatoes or whatever you're going to eat them last. That way it blunts that blood sugar. You don't have that blood sugar spike. And ever since I've been doing that, I've not been tired after I know what's coming. Go ahead.
You
and
better
say
know what's coming.
Go ahead and say
because I told you about that months and months and months ago because I listened to this woman called the Glucose Goddess. And she had described, I mean, this was really, really cool. Yeah, you didn't listen to me. Yeah, you're one of those women, you can't listen to me until Oprah says it, right? Yeah. Anyway, I'm just going to kid you. Anyway, how many times do you do the teaspoon of salt? Basically, I'll probably have about a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons in the course of a day for me. Basically, a half teaspoon 3 times a day. It could vary. Just listen to your body. I mean, that's really what you get down to. Plus, I'm taking a lot of other salt and a lot of other things in this and all the food.
Plus, it depends on how active you are and how much you're sweating. Like you probably don't need as much in the wintertime as you do in the summer if you're working out and sweating a bunch.
But there's a lady called the Glucose Goddess. I heard her on this podcast, Diary of a CEO, is where I first heard about her. And then I saw her in another podcast. And she was talking about how restaurants, it's almost a conspiracy, really. How restaurants, you ever notice in American restaurants, you go in there, they always give you bread when you sit down. You ever wonder why? And she talks about the reasons why. Scientifically, they know that if you eat that bread, there is a high likelihood that you're going to order dessert, higher than normal anyway. So, but if you go to an Italian restaurant, what's the first thing they give you? Antipasto. They're going to give you pickled vegetables or something along that line. So basically, start with some vinegar, apple cider vinegar, dilute it, do whatever you got to do. I just drink it straight. So you start with the vinegar, then you start with your salad because no matter, folks, I'm telling you, it makes all the difference in the world. I remember until I learned this trick, I was just like her. I was like, man, I don't even want to eat because I know I'm just going to have this crash. But if you start with your vegetables, if you start with the vinegar and then you start with your vegetables, then you do your protein, then you do your fat, and then your complex carbs, and then your dessert. If you eat it in that order, I promise you, you will not believe the difference. You could have the same meal, but if you eat your vegetables first, I'm telling you, it makes all the difference in the world. And if you start, that was one of the biggest game changers I learned over this last year, and I won't change it up. So I eat a salad, and that's one of the other little biohacks I do. Eat something from the garden every single day, even in the winter. So I'm eating microgreens every single day. So that salad she's talking about, the only meal where it really messes me up is at breakfast. If my first meal, if I don't follow that, and by the way, mine is salad. Let me see. It's salad, bone broth, protein, and then I usually don't have any carbs. I mean, not at breakfast. I usually, if I have any carbs, it's usually in the evening. I know that doesn't work well for a lot of other people. They prefer to have them earlier. For me, I sleep better in the later because I'm really, really paying attention. If you eat it in that order, and for me, delayed coffee intake makes all the difference in the world. So those are some of the big things. Another thing, get active. She's out there lifting weights. That's why she's got more curves than a goat pass right now. She's out there lifting weights, doing her thing. I'm going to start doing that in this new year because I've just been so darn busy that I haven't made time to do it. But one thing I do, and it's also non-negotiable, is rebounding. If you would have ever told me the benefit, or I've been doing this rebounding, what do you think, about a year now? Almost a year now. I do it for an hour every single day. And and you don't necessarily have to be on a trampoline, so you can actually just do a trot in place. And I go out there, and if the sun's shining, it's winter. Yesterday, I was outside for at least an hour with my shirt off. Yeah, ladies, don't get all excited. I'm taking out there with my shirt off in the sun, rebounding. So you can stack those functions, which means if the sun is shining, well, limited sunshine, because of course they were spraying the living daylights out of us yesterday. So if I can, I'll rebound in the sun, whether I'm jogging and you can do it on a regular jog on a trail or whatever the case may be. And anybody can do this. That is non-negotiable for me. I could wake up with a headache, and I kid you not, I rebound and I feel like $1 million. So, and I don't eat until after, I got that physical activity out of the way. Now, if there's sunlight outside, I'm going to go with the natural sun. If I don't, that's why I got a red light therapy. And for me, it's a must. I mean, every other flipping day, even when it was blue out there, it wasn't really blue. I mean, they gave us 3 weeks where they didn't spray anything after that storm, but depending on the intensity of the sun, I may use the red light therapy anyway. But while I'm doing the red light therapy, that's where I'm doing my brain work. People wonder why, well, how is it you memorize all this stuff or whatever? Well, I work on it. It's one of the things I work on. Like I said, I'm memorizing the entire book of Psalm. And that's where if I got to stand in front of a red light therapy, I got to be entertained.
Well, also,
my brain has to be working.
One of the things that I've started doing is taking methylene blue this probably a couple months ago, but I was getting some from another company, but I started taking Dr. Will's, and
you're not taking mine, are you?
No, I'm not taking yours. So I'll take that and then give it a little bit to digest and then go stand in front of the red light or go outside. I prefer to go outside and get like the morning sun, but a lot of times it's just I stand in front of the red light.
Dan, is that I'm sorry if I got your name wrong. It's tough to see in these glasses, and that's another little biohack is blue light blockers. I'll come to that in a minute. What's the red light therapy for? Basically, when they're out there blocking out the sun and I can't see it, or let's say it's just too doggone cold outside and you can't get out there, or whatever the case may be, it's as close a replacement to the natural sunlight as we can get. And your body's doing wonderful things with it, especially when you combine it with things like methylene blue. So that's exactly the protocol I'm doing. So I got to get that sunlight every single day. These are non-negotiable for me. Absolutely non-negotiable. And when I don't do it, I start getting a little bit of anxiety, and then I got to put on wave watch because I'm thinking, okay, I let all these other things. Then you're thinking, okay, well, how do you get on with your day? Folks, you want something done, give it to a busy person. Honestly, I'm dead serious. I mean, we still get tons done, and I still work these protocols. Get up earlier. Do what you got to do. Or combine things, because there's a lot of this stuff where I'm combining it, like I said, with the red light therapy. Or if I'm outside, why can't I bounce, get the sunlight, and at the same time do my Bible memory? Why can't I do that? You can. You just got to figure out how you can stack some of these functions and do it all at the same time. Meditation. If I lay on a pulse electric magnetic field mat or the PEMF mat, I'm doing one of two things. I'm doing, well, there's a good chance I'm either doing Breathe with Sandy, depending on how it goes, because today was one of those days where I did some Breathe with Sandy. I felt my energy was getting a little bit low because I didn't sleep real good last night, and I needed some energy for this podcast. So I went on there, did a breathing routine that's going to give me energy, and it works. And I did it on the PEMF mat, and it has a setting on it for performance, and it works. So I can combine it there. Also, I may do some meditation, some Joe Dispenza meditation, which is also becoming indispensable in my life too, where there's some of these meditations where it's going to be 180 degrees out of phase with my Christian faith. So I don't do anything like that, but anything that's in accordance with it. And there's a lot of times in my meditations, I'm just praying that the Lord guides my steps. It could be different for a whole lot of different people, but these are non-negotiable things in my life. And these glasses that you see me wear a lot of times when I remember to put them on, it's another new habit. Look, I'm surrounded by studio lights in here, okay? And it's not so much the blue light they're putting off. It's the pulsation. It's the pulse, okay, that they put out. And it's designed that way. Folks, I know this sounds crazy, but this stuff is quite literally designed to screw you up. It's why we have 60 hertz when the rest of the world goes in 50 hertz as far as our electrical. There's so many different things out there where we are doing these things. Look, I'm not getting any younger. I'm 54 years old, okay? And I do what I love. And if I want to continue to do it, I got to be in some kind of health where I can do it. We're working in places where we're working up hills like this sometimes, where I got to make sure I got great boots on that grip the ground, where we're not going to get injured. I got to make sure we're not doing anything foolish. And there's times where she gets too impatient and wanting to carry 2 50-gallon buckets down the side of a mountain. And I got to slow, this is true. So where I got to slow her down. Don't look at me like that. I'm right.
I don't think it's 50 gallon.
I'm sorry.
I think it's 5 gallon.
5. Okay, so that's 80 pounds that you're trying to walk down the freaking slope with. And I'm like, no, don't ever do that again. Where, she's in a rush to get to the next phase of it. And I'm like, no. You got to slow down. None of this means anything if we get hurt. So the reason we're doing this is, folks, I'm just going to cut to the chase. Look up in that sky. You see that stuff floating down there? You see the stuff they're spraying? Do you know what it is? I don't, and neither do you. Look at everything that's in the restaurants, in the grocery aisle. 80% of it, maybe more, is not there to make you do better. It's more to keep you on the Rockefeller medicine bandwagon. So these are all these different strategies. And frankly, there was a time there, and we talked about it very frankly right here on this channel, where we talked about we were being spiritually attacked. And we ended up finding out, I won't go into the nature of how we know because I'm not going to tip my hand, but we had everything from gang stalking, electronic gang stalking going on, people screwing around with microwaves and whatever else, witches that were put on lock aimed at us, all these different things going on because they don't want you to hear some of the information we're putting out, okay? And certainly not the ways that we're going to be cleaning up this environment, because the powers that shouldn't be don't want you to know these things. So we are being attacked, and you can call me conspiracy, whatever, all you want. And frankly, I don't care. This stuff is happening. We're not imagining it. And this is why, in addition to putting on the full armor of God, we have to put on this full armor of as good a health as we can possibly manage, because the powers that shouldn't be don't want you or me alive. Let's just be honest here. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that's, I think that's right.
So we got to do everything we can to be in top notch. I'm not getting any younger. I'm only going to get older from here. Even though my biological age is 50, well, what do I got to do to get it down to 40? I mean, can it be done? I don't know. But I know that I'm going to do everything I possibly can. And like I said, the one thing I'm going to add into the new year is strength training, because I'm thinking, okay, I don't have enough time to do what I'm doing right now. I'm having a hard enough time just trying to do these things. Billy, have you ever had your vitamin D levels checked? Man, I am so good on vitamin D. It'll blow your mind. I have had them checked, but it's been a little while. But I supplement with D3K2. And in addition to that, I'm getting outside as often as I can to get as much D as possible. But yeah, that's definitely something that's very important if you don't know, because you can't correct it if you can't measure it.
And also for women, that's extremely important, especially older women. like I would, my recommendation, I would highly recommend working with somebody like Jax before you get to a point where you have a health crisis, because it's these, I think I try to stay, I will just tell you what I do. I try to stay out of any doctor's office. If it's emergency medicine, that's one thing. If it's trying to maintain your health, they are absolutely no good. They have, all they're trying to do is get you on their medication. I think you have to have some, like somebody like Jax that you work with, that to help you with any kind of issues or to help you stay healthy, because there are people out there that have a ton of knowledge about healing and staying healthy. And that's one of the things I'm learning with her, is just for women, for example, just how important all these vitamins are to help with like heart health and all that stuff. So I would, that is my, I think that's my goal for this year, is to just to build a network of people to help maintain health, to stay out of the hospital, to stay out of the doctor's offices.
Yeah, that's the worst place in the world to go, in my view, these days.
And also, especially if you have little ones, if you can find somebody that you can go to help, that's not a doctor's office, I would highly encourage and recommend that.
Stray Kitten says, what is it you do for your bowels? Okay, so there's a couple of things there. Number one, coffee enemas. I mean, yeah, I've been known, I do one of those maybe once a week, sometimes twice a week, if it's like, been eating a bunch of junk. Man, I'm telling you what, that thing will clean you out like nobody's business, but it has your hepatic nerve is down there, and your liver and your gallbladder will basically dump everything in there, and you can get it out that way. There's other strategies as well. Also, there was a liver cleanse that I did. Well, that's not really your bowels, but yeah, you do a coffee.
There's also like colon teas you can drink that'll help get that moving also.
Okay, says, yeah, I couldn't agree more. Tinfoil tiara. Us Gen Xers seem to be the only ones fighting the powers that shouldn't be. I could not agree more. She and I were just talking about this very thing the other day. It's like trying to get an present company excluded. Most baby boomers will not even, how do I say this? I don't know how to say this any more politely than what I'm going to say it right now. I don't know why baby boomers, no amount of evidence can shatter a faith consciously based on a lie. And I'm talking about her family and mine too, where there is, and like I said, I'm not talking about all of them, but baby boomers in general will not, under any circumstance, they seem to be the ones that are most heavily bought in to what's going on, and are the ones hardest to change their minds, no matter how much evidence is presented. And some of these people I look up to a great deal, and they will not see it no matter how much evidence is out there. Like I said, if I were to name some of these people, I guarantee you would know who they are. And it's amazing how much evidence can be presented, and they still will not reconsider anything. Let's see here. So, hey, like I said, I'm not dogging all of them. Man, I know we can't get to all these questions, but look, y'all, this is just a short list. I mean, this podcast, once again, was inspired by somebody that wrote in and said, hey, could you cover this or talk to us about how it's going? Like I said, did the test, and my biological age is 4 years younger than what I am. I know that I can improve that. There's other strategies I can do. One area that I need to get much, much better at is my sleep. And that's part of why I'm wearing these, because when you have blue light blockers, I would wear, as soon as I get out of here, I'll put on my darker red ones. These are the yellow tint. I can't tell what they are looking through here right now, but these block most of it. But the red ones are definitely made for night. Your body was never meant to be looking at blue light all night long, so it screws up your circadian rhythm. Learned that from Dr. Jack Kruse, and that was the reason I got into these. And I'm thinking, okay, let me go ahead and start wearing these and see how I'm doing. And I'm noticing my sleep is a whole lot better just by wearing these things. So I'm also a person that my brain is going 100 miles an hour 99% of the time. And for me to slow it down long enough to sleep feels like I'm missing something. So these go a long way in helping me do that. I mean, I'm trying to get her to do it too. I got you a set of glasses too, but yeah, you don't really wear them, but all of it's a work in progress. So you do what you can, whether it's a wave watch or you find yourself in pain or it's got a thing on there to help with your sleep, or whether it's the easy free things like getting morning sun, doing the breathing in the morning, getting that salt water. I'm not giving you health advice. Let me just say that right off. Bentonite clay is as good as methylene blue. Yeah, I got some of that too. I got some of that Redmond's clay down there too. I've used it. You can use it in a foot bath. Folks, I am doing all of the above. I'm doing everything I can. And then when I noticed, think about it. If there's one lifestyle change and if it can improve your quality of life, let's just say by 5%, would you do it? For me, the answer is a resounding yes, especially when it requires, if all I got to do, and I'll give you a prime example. If just by moving my coffee, by waiting to drink coffee, an hour later after I get up, then I'm not going to have a midday crash. Is that worth it for me? You better believe it. Or going out there, getting that sun, I can feel the difference. It's like Superman, when he's got to have that sun, and that's about the way I feel, especially when your brain knows why you're doing these things and what's happening while you're doing them. So those things make all the difference to me. So these are lifestyle changes. Look, y'all, I wasn't sure how well received a program like this would be, but I'm sure a lot of folks have a lot of other things out there that work. And believe me, I pay attention when somebody says, hey, give this a shot. Once I do a little bit of research on it and I find out, oh, you mean, hold on, my session in the sun would be 10 times better if I took some methylene blue? Absolutely. Or, just anything that's going to move that needle just a little bit as I get older, I'm definitely looking into it. Urotherapy. I know a lot of people feel disgusted about that every time Jonathan Otto talks about it, but there is a reason he's talking about it. I've done it.
But even that, that's another thing where I think it's been engineered to make it the way they say it. It's just the waste from your system. Well, that's not true. It's not just the waste that your body is getting rid of. There's a lot of beneficial components in there that they have not been honest about. And when you listen to somebody like Dr. Group or Jonathan Otto, you find out the true information of
what they know, but they don't want you to know, where your stem cells are in there and how, like I said, why is it cool? Everybody universally knows you get a jellyfish sting, you pee on it. But why wouldn't it work the same if you got a rattlesnake bite? Or why wouldn't it work that way if you had you got into a bunch of bees? It does work. Your body, step by step, all day long is producing everything you need. And the powers that shouldn't be have you wasting. You go back and look at, how urine was used in the Roman Republic and then the Roman Empire. It was, everything from tanning hides to cures. This is what has been known for time immemorial, but they hid it under Rockefeller medicine. You're never going to find it. And then, like I said, all you ladies out there using skincare products, look at the active ingredients on it. Urea, where do you think that came from? But there's none better out there than your own. It's little things like that move the needle just a little bit, but they don't want you to know about it, or they want you to be disgusted by it.
And all this stuff, a lot of this stuff, you do not need to go to the doctor for. It is free. The sunlight is free. Grounding is free. Deep breathing, don't need to go to the doctor for it. You can stay out. You can stay out of the doctor's office by just using these free modalities that we have.
Not saying, hey, if that's where you currently have to go and that's what you got to do, then, this is a war you don't win in miles, you win it in inches. So you do what you can, just any little thing that'll move the needle. Start getting some doggone sleep at night. Try to work on these things. Just one little thing, just like I said, just try it tomorrow. Make yourself, okay, if you're a coffee drinker, just wait an hour, hour and a half, have your coffee and see if you have that midday crash. Next time you eat tomorrow, make sure on your first meal, I don't have to do it with every other meal. As long as I do it with my first one, I don't have a crash. Start with your salad. It doesn't even have to be a salad necessarily. It could be just a handful of vegetables. Start with those, then eat your meat, then your fat, and then your carbs. And see if the crash you would normally have, see if it doesn't go away. Like I said, I wish I could remember the glucose goddess's name. I can't remember her name. But apparently that's one of those classic examples that the restaurant industry has known this in America for at least 40 years. And that's exactly why they serve you bread when you go in there. But why is it all over Europe they serve you vegetables? You think they know something we don't? Because they know, like I said, and she talks about it, how the timing from the time you eat that bread and you're like, oh, cool, bread. Who doesn't love bread, You eat the bread and they know that by the time that glucose spike happens again, it's going to be about time for dessert. So that's exactly how they get us 30 ways to Sunday. But folks, you can use that jujitsu in reverse and show them what time it is. All right, y'all. I want to thank everybody in the chat. Hopefully this was a blessing to you. Until next time, stay alert,
stay alive.
They don't want an individual, just a carbon copy. You spitting that manicotti, yeah, I'm talking saucy. All they want to build is a prison world full of pet Tamagotchis. Like the kamikaze, got me out of body like I'm Goku SS3. They want to push me to the center like a cell. They want to spin up at the center of the nexus, me. They want me to bow down, but I'm a warrior.